finally finished Children of Anguish and Anarchy. Woo. I'm going to be reviewing it. It took a year. It took a whole year for me to finish this book. I wanted to DNF it so bad. But I was like, no. I want to give a proper review because the first 10 chapters had me lost. But I'm going to give a proper review. So here's a summary of the third book. We continue with Zeli and her friends trying to unite and save their homeland Orisha. And for some reason, they got kidnapped by Vikings called Skulls. They end up getting rescued by Aztec Candomblé Brazilians called the New Gaians. There's a prophecy that states that a Norse guy needs to drain the magic of an Orisha and an Aztec Candomblé girl in order to become a god. Anyways, characters. Zeli is Zeli. Amari likes girls. Inan is still annoying. Queen Nehenda really irritated me. Because girl, you're telling me, like yes, in the last book, you were fighting the magic because you wanted to take control of all the magic and stuff like that. Fine. You watched a bunch of Norse dudes pop up, grab your people, dip, straight up took them into slavery. And the first time we see you, you still beefing with the Magi? Ma'am, now's not the time for you to be beefing with the Magi. Now is the time for you to say, guys, we need to come together. No, Miss Ma'am is still beefing. My days. Wow. Like she stopped beefing, but only because her son said, we got a bigger problem. You can fight the Magi afterwards. But still, no character development, no nothing. Now, Zane got some genuine character development. This man just needed friends. He needed friends. He needed another guy who was not some sort of a weird threat to him. Because if we think about it, right, Inan was trying to get with his sister. You can't be friends with someone who pops up, right? Mind you, this was someone who planned on genociding your people. You can't be friends with someone who planned on genociding your people and then changed their mind because they want to get with your sister. No, that was horrendous. But Zane got some genuine character development. He made me so happy. He needed friends, and he got that through Koa. Thank goodness. He finally was able to stand up for himself for once and to stop irrationally tossing himself into wild situations. I'm happy for that. Now, I can't say this word. Mai? May? Ma? I'm gonna call her May. No, I'll call her Mai. So anyways, Mai is the new high priestess of New Gaia. The old priestess, Yeva, I'm so sorry, she died. She's also Amari's love interest. So Mai basically, she's the girl from the prophecy. Now the villain of the book, King Baldur, he just wants to be a god. No explanation. There was no previous encounters with any of the other characters. I don't know his relation to Orisha and New Gaia. He literally just got a prophecy and said, okay, we're gonna go with it. World building. Where the hell are we? No, I'm being so genuinely serious. And don't point me to the map at the front of the book. I don't know where we are. The world building is in hell. Because here's the thing, right? All the other characters get grace here, except for the rulers of each nation. Like you're telling me, Inan, Amari, and King Joran, for some reason, you don't know about the existence of the tribes of Balderic? I refuse. I absolutely refuse. You're telling me you've got Vikings that go around the coastline of countries and bothering people, but you, as the ruler of those countries, you don't know? Inan and Amari met a whole pirate from a country that has mostly deserts. But the Norse and the Brazilians surprise you? Were you not paying attention when your parents said there's other lands out there with other types of magic and the people could harm you? Do Orisha maps only have Orisha on it? Are there no world maps? There are pirates from other lands. Yet you're telling me that there's no world maps? Oh my days. But anyways, welcome to God of War 2018, or as it's called in this book, The Tribes of Balderic.
Leave me alone! Akira!
And just below it, we've got Aztec Candomblé Brazilians worshipping a Greek goddess. They live on floating islands in the middle of lakes and use a complicated vine network to move around the area. So here are the questions that I need answered. Where did the Norse and the Brazilians come from? There was not a single mention of them in the previous books, not even in prophecies that kept appearing like winter rain. You would think the pirate would have said something like, hey, there's a madman out there kidnapping people and using them in blood rituals, so I suggest staying away from the coastline. If Yera is such an old and wise woman, you would think she would have prepared everyone for the day the prophecy would show up. Because, in all honesty, judging from the maps, right, Orisha is closer to New Gaia than the tribes of Balderic are to any of them. Not a single Orishan that lives along the coastline made their way to New Gaia. See, this is the problem that we have with world building. This is the big problem that we have with world building. We don't know where we are. Nothing has been explained, and we're just supposed to move with it. And there's too many real world examples in a fantasy book. That is the biggest problem that I have with these books in general. The first book, I let it go because I know that having a big African book is very rare. So I let it go. I was like, I don't know why this place is called Lagos, but you know what? I'm gonna mind my own business. Now we're in the third book, and there's too many real world references for this to be a fantasy. The fact that I looked at the tribes of Balderic and the first thing that came to mind was God of War 2018, that says a lot. That says a lot about how bad you must be at writing this world. Because even the location when you're in these countries, when you're in these places, I don't feel like I'm in a new place. When I think of New Gaia, I immediately just went straight to Brazil. Also, they're speaking Portuguese. And I think that's what makes the whole situation worse. The fact that the characters are speaking real world languages. The first book gets away with it because we were focusing on one group of people, but the third book cannot get away with it. The moment I saw King Balder, I was like, no, the situation is just getting worse. Then they spoke Norse. I was like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. No, there's not even a list you could have done at this point because there's too many real world references for this to be a fantasy. It feels like a fanfic, and not even a good fanfic. The moment I figured out this dude was Norse, I lost it. I was immediately out. And I think that's why it took me a year to finish the book. And I get that not everyone can create a language, right? But, okay, if you're in the fantasy world and there's people speaking different languages, if you don't know how to create a language, at least make up fake sounds. You could have at least said our captors that had taken us hostage were speaking in a lilted, broken tongue. You know, something like that. It sounded like the shards of glass being shaken in a bag. Something like that. Not full on Norse, full on Portuguese. I was like, no. Are we in Brazil? Because it's sounding like Brazil. The people are being described. It's giving Brazil. Actual writing. There comes a point in the books when each chapter is 2 pages long. And I mean both in the physical book and in the PDF and EPUB. Sentences felt short and empty. It felt more like a bunch of motivational phrases more than actual sentences for the characters. A lot of sentences end up feeling like heavily used and repeated. And the narration is the same. No one has a different voice, no one has a different tone, they're the same. All the characters receive the same narration phrases, just with names swapped. You know, Zeli is worried about her brother and Orisha. Zayn is worried about Zeli and Amari. Amari is worried about Inan and Zeli. Inan is worried about Amari and Zeli, and at some point, all the worrying just ends up sounding the same. Paragraphs don't offer enough information. And even if information is offered by the characters, I'm left with more questions due to how empty that information was. The retconning of the magic in the third book it's so jarring. It is so jarring. Like there are some books where it's like, okay, you know, I could say it was retconned a little bit. This one was genuinely jarring. In the second book, there was this big thing about Amari and Queen Nehenda being Emmy connectors, right? Like it was so serious. It was changing the tide of the war. People were panicking. Remember what Amari did in the second book? Where she said that, where like the ends justify the means, and then she took out a whole village that had like innocent people in there that didn't have any magic. Yeah, that's how important the Emmy connector magic actually was. But then in the third book it's gone. It's just gone. Queen Nehenda is now a part of the Aya clan because now she's earthbending. And Amari doesn't use her magic at all. Where is her magic? It's gone. It's gone. Amari genuinely loses her magic in this. And her magic is actually so important considering how much damage that her and Queen Nehenda were able to do in the second book. This book was extremely disjointed from the first two books. It felt like there was a third book missing in between the second book and this book. I feel like this book should have been either a fourth book or it should have been a spin-off series. I feel like it was supposed to be a spin-off series and then it was supposed to be the third book of the spin-off series because this book does not come together with this series that we are currently reading. Everything is missing. Not it has nothing to do about Oresha. They had a whole war going on. Cops. Who knows? Who knows? This was a side quest. This was a side quest. Side note, this is just for like African Americans. When you guys write stories about Africans and African cultures, right? Can we stop with the slavery? Because we're at a point where it becomes too much. And now we're living in a new era and a new time where Africans themselves can finally write about themselves and get their books published. And your stories involving slavery, it's already very much unrelatable to most Africans. A lot of us actually didn't have slavery. And I hope that you guys understand that the reason why a lot of Africans read your books is because there are no other books involving Africans in fantasy. And African Americans tend to get first place when it comes to publishing about Africa. Thing is, as I said, you know, we're in a time when the rest of Africa gets to publish their books. And now that we've got the internet and globalization and interpreters and stuff like that, those books are going to be translated into multiple languages. And the moment that happens, African Americans, you guys' stories are actually done. And I'm saying this in the nicest way possible. Your stories are actually done. So that's why I'm saying, can you please calm down with the slavery? There's too many people that are being taken as slaves. There's too many people getting kidnapped. We don't need any more slave stories. Thank you. And add in. Honestly, I wanted to get deeper into the Orisha lore because I like the Orishas. I think they're really cool. You know, when I was a kid and we were learning about Egyptian mythology, I just found all the mythologies and then I started reading them all. You know, from Shintoism in Japan to what the Chinese had to the Aztecs and the Mayans. Like, I read all the mythology books when I was a kid. And the Orishas really interested me because I was like, huh, so that's what they're doing in West Africa. You know, but we were thrown into a bunch of new worlds here, hey? We were thrown into a bunch of new worlds, and these worlds have their own mythologies. They have their own mythologies. When the Norse were out here doing blood satyr magic, I was like, hi bro, guys. Kanti, Kanti, we're not even finished with the Orishas, and we've straight up asked Thor questions. Like, no, man. And then same with New Gaia, where they get their magic from Gaia, a Greek goddess. I'm like, whoa, ho, ho. Oh, we jumped in. We went somewhere. I don't know where that place is, but we are somewhere, you know. The book felt rushed, and even the size of the book scared me when I saw it at the bookstore. I thought I got the American version of the book, but no, it was the actual book. And the book is so skinny. It was so skinny compared to the other books. I was like, oh no, I don't think this is good. I don't think this is cute. I was thinking maybe we were gonna have like a proper ending of the story with the skinny book. I was like, okay, you know what? Since we're having a skinny book, that means that they're gonna end the war at the beginning, and then through the middle of the book, we're gonna be focusing on like granting peace and creating unity within the Orishas. You know, we're probably gonna have like a TRC moment where we're dealing with the genocidal people and we're dealing with the extremists and people are trying to get forgiveness and all that other stuff. But yeah, I thought that was gonna happen. I should have known. I feel so betrayed. I should have known that the skinny book means we are in trouble here. The ending. Ooh. The ending was anticlimactic. It really was. I rooted for no one. I was glad Inan died. He irritated me. He was annoying me throughout the books, you know. So when he died, I was like, thank goodness. But no. Inan solved racism and genocide in 2 pages. Mind you, his genocidal mother is still alive. She only paused the fighting to save her own people. She did not pause it because she wanted to help Orisha. She said, no, I still want my power. I want my people to rule the way that we've been ruling. I'm only pausing so that I could use the Magi to get rid of this new enemy. And then I'm going to take the remaining Magi out. She's not done. I don't care what the ending says. I don't care that Amari has forgiven her mother for, abuse. I don't care about that story ending. I don't care that she's forgiven her mom for colorism. I don't care that she's forgiven her mom for telling her, hey, bleach your skin because you're the darkest person in this family and people think that I cheated on your father. Go bleach your skin. I don't care that Amari forgave her mother for that. The woman is still genocidal. She didn't change her ways. She did not. Because at the end of the book, when Amari was talking about, oh, mom, I forgive you and all that other stuff, Mama Nehenda did not say anything about accepting the Magi. Mama Nehenda did not say anything about accepting the Magi. She just said, my child, I'm sorry to you personally because you're the only one left. Because truth is, if Inan was still alive, Mama Nehenda would have never apologized to Amari. She would have not let that girl come back. That is why earlier in the book, when Inan said, hey, these people kidnapped us, she was like, oh, my son. And he was like, they took Amari too. She was like, oh, okay. This woman didn't care. Oh, my days. And I'm supposed to believe that now that we're at the end of the book, all of a sudden they're gonna unite Orisha. She's going to continue. What an ending. Also, is Zeli a god? Like, I actually don't know what happened in the ending. Like, is she a god? Anyways, I was disappointed by this book. It had potential. No lies, it had potential. But it flopped. Anyways, here's a book series that actually deals with the Islam religion properly in a nice supernatural setting. It even has the Orishas existing as themselves. I genuinely like this book. I genuinely love this story. I highly enjoyed it. I really hope you guys do too. Peace.